If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe now. Click the bell icon next to it and select All to ensure you don't miss any of my latest videos. We see the many buildings on this earth. A common question that comes to all of us is, how amazing technology did the people of the past have? How were they able to build all these things at that time? How was all this possible for them? Were they humans or aliens? These kinds of questions keep coming to us. Today, let's try to find the answers to some of these questions in this video. Let's try to unravel the biggest mystery behind some of them. So why not? Let's get into the video number 1, building the pyramids with sound. Basically, the ancient Egyptians used slaves to build the pyramids, using rams, pulley systems, or hydraulic systems. For many years, we have all been thinking that the pyramids were built using, but if they use sound to build it, it will sound very strange and strange to hear. But this is a real theory, and in fact many scientists have proven it scientifically. But not on such a large scale, but on a small scale. That is, people can move some blocks using sound waves. It is not magic. It is basically pure science. Its name is sound levitation technique. It is also called acoustic levitation. Scientists are now using that sound to make some small objects, small particles, small droplets float in the air. What they are doing is creating some strong sound waves and trapping them all in a particular place. For this, they are creating an acoustic bubble. That is, there are small speakers, all of them arranged in a perfect way in the middle of a plate. They are all vibrating at the same time. By making them vibrate, a force field is created in that area. It is created by sound. And at that time, if we put any small object in the middle, it will float in the air. At present, scientists are only able to lift small objects and small weights through this sound technique. Scientists are not able to lift large ones. At present, the joint blocks on the pyramids are very, very large, weighing several tons. So, as we all know, the current sound techniques technology needs to be improved to the point of moving them. That will take a long, long time. However, recently, some scientists have done some experiments. Those experiments have taken this technology a step further. And that happened. In 2016, some scientists from the UK and Brazil made a 2-inch polystyrene ball float in the air through sound waves. This was a big breakthrough. Because the ball is bigger than the wavelength of the sound, basically the wavelength of the sound is half that, but still the sound waves were able to lift the ball, and next year some scientists from the University of Bristol made a ball that was 2 centimeters high, and they are increasing the size year by year. If they keep going like this, one day they will be able to lift heavy stones with sound. Now we hear about ants that they can lift 50 times their own weight at most, and sometimes they can lift 20 times or 30 times their own weight. Some people are also trying to improve these sound waves so that even though the wavelength of the sound waves is shorter, they can lift the object that is being carried or lifted into the air to make it heavier. Scientists are trying, but it is not that easy. But if it is completely proven, then if that technology becomes available, everything will be very easy, and you may wonder why ancient Egypt came here. Basically, in the 10th century, an Arab historian named Al-Masudi told an interesting story about how the Egyptians built the pyramids. According to his idea, the Egyptians at that time used a magic paper roll. There are many symbols in it, and under each stone there is a small metal thing, and they continuously hit it with another metal rod. Every time they hit it, the stone would float in the air. You can see that it is like hitting a stone like that, moving forward, hitting it, moving forward by creating it. Those who transfer it anywhere, that is, those who set up metal poles, sound vibrations are created in its path and on it, so that the stone floats and finally it reaches where it needs to go, and they put it there. But he said that many people dismissed this as not true and false. He said that he was just telling stories. He said that there is no solid evidence for this. That is, there is no solid evidence to say that the pyramids were built using this sound. At present, another important thing that we should notice in the Egyptian pyramids is that the acoustics inside it. If any of you visit the pyramids are able to amplify our sound. If that sound is near some particular frequencies, then these pyramids, whoever built it had a deep understanding of how sound works, so wouldn't someone who knows so much know how to use sound to move those stones? So it definitely seems possible, right? But until it's proven, it's just a theory, and there are many modern examples of this acoustic levitation. Between 1923 and 1951, there was a person named Edward Leedskalnin who built the Coral Cast in Florida. This coral cast is very, very strange, but what's strangest of all is that he built it alone. There was no one else. He had very large stones as support in that construction. But he used it very easily and he didn't use any heavy machinery anywhere. And how could he build such a big castle by himself? Many people living in the surrounding area thought that he had something. Everyone used to say that he had secret knowledge, magical powers, and he would never share them with anyone. In fact, he never told anyone how he built it. But occasionally he would talk about one thing, that is, if the music was tuned properly, he could even move the stars. That is, he knew some ancient technique. He understood how to move heavy stones using sound. So he built this castle through that. But later some scientists understood it. But even that is not proven. It is also just a theory. This is also just a theoretical example. This is also not a practical example. So we have more questions than answers in these. But if we can fully master this technology, then the whole world will be different. There will be big, tall buildings. All of them can be built very, very easily. If we use this acoustic levitation concept, then many people believe that the pyramids could have been built like this. Do you think it is possible or not? Tell us in the comments section below. Number to the last documents of the ancient world. If we could still preserve the books and ideas of the past, if they had not been burned, do you know how wonderful a position we would have been in? Many great libraries in the world have completely burned to ashes. On the other hand, due to the stupidity of those outside, due to the madness of those outside, we have Nalanda University, Taxila University, and many libraries around the world. Among them, the Library of Alexandria is very, very large. If it had not been completely destroyed, many people believe that the world would have been different today because it contained a huge amount of knowledge. The same as our Nalanda and Taxila universities, but all of that also burned down. In history, many libraries have completely burned to ashes. They had a huge number of scrolls and books. They had immense knowledge about science, philosophy, and everything. But they destroyed all of them. If we take Athens as an example, in the 6th century before the Common Era, there was a very large collection of papers and scrolls, and they were all in a library. That library was called the Library of Pergamon. The Library of Pergamon was completely burned to ashes. There were about 2 lakh volumes of books in it at that time, and they were all burnt to ashes. So how much knowledge could there have been in it? If all these libraries had not been burned, the situation would have been different. But the real tragedy is for India, Nalanda University and Taxila University. And for Egypt, the Library of Alexandria was burned during the campaign of Julius Caesar. It is not just a place of books, it is a university just like our Nalanda University and Taxila University, where students used to study. There were 14,000 students studying there. They were studying medicine, mathematics, astronomy, and all these. And in this area there were various chemical labs, observatories, botanical gardens, anatomical theaters. Everything was in this area, but all these were burnt to ashes. At the time of the burning of that library, there were about 7 lakh scrolls in it, all of them completely disappeared. So there were 7 lakh opportunities to change the world. That single incident completely destroyed all of them. The way of thinking of humans, the technology of humans, the understanding of the universe of humans, everything was destroyed in the blink of an eye. So history was wiped out very, very easily. Among the things that were burned, there were many wonderful pieces of information. There are also scrolls. For example, there was a person named Heron of Alexandria. He was an engineer of the past. He invented a steam engine in his time. It worked completely on the principles of turbines and jet propulsion. If his working papers had not been burned, we would have seen steam-powered chariots sometime in the time of ancient Egypt. So imagine if ancient Egypt and ancient steam engines had been in the same place, wouldn't the world be more advanced today? We would have seen a whole different world. But now we don't see that. Also, Heron invented the early odometer. What this device does is it tells us how much distance a vehicle has traveled. So there are many more like this. The information related to genius inventions was also completely burned to ashes. So this is not just Egypt, it happened in Greece as well. Before the Common Era, in 213 BC, a Chinese emperor named Qin Shi Huang ordered that all the books in that region be completely burned to ashes and all that knowledge be destroyed. He did the same. In the 8th century, about 3 lakh books were completely burned in Constantinople. In the Middle Ages, a very large number of manuscripts were burned. It may be in India or elsewhere. It was done in all places. Information related to the cultural heritage of those countries, information related to scientific advancements, all these have also completely disappeared. In fact, there was no backup like there is today. At that time, only a book is a book that was written only in that book, and all of them have been completely destroyed. So today, all historians are trying to understand the history of that time based on some artifacts found from a bygone era, and that too is not completely understood. If all those books had not been lost, then there is no doubt that the situation on Earth today would have been different. And number 3, the Assyrian Nimrud Lens. If we ask when the telescope was first invented on Earth, we all say according to the time that modern history tells us, that the first telescope was invented and patented in the year 1608. But this discovery says that it is completely wrong. Imagine that a telescope was invented a few thousand years ago. If telescopes have been on Earth for about 3,000 years, then the people of that time, if we were to use it, what would our reaction be if we were to be presented with evidence of it now? We would be very, very surprised. Scientists have recently discovered such an amazing lens. The name of the lens is Nimrud Lens. It is also called Lloyd lens. It is a lens that dates back 3,000 years. It is a piece of rock crystal. This has confused archaeologists a lot. Not just archaeologists, but astronomers, historians, everyone has studied it. Everyone is amazed. It was first discovered in the year 1850 by a person named Sir John Lloyd. He found it during excavations on the ground. He found it near the Assyrian palace in Nimrud. That is why it got its name. Nimrud means modern-day Iraq. But what is special about this stone? The crystal on this piece is carved in a perfect shape. How are modern-day lenses? So some people believe that this is the research that was done, and they started believing that it was used as a lens in the oldest telescope in the world in the past. But can you really see everything like a telescope using this lens? This lens made of a rock crystal could really be used like that at that time? More detailed research has been done to see if this crystal was made between 750 and 710 BC. It is completely oval in shape. Its focal length is 47 in, which is up to 12 centimeters. So it works like a low-powered magnifying glass, which means it zooms in 3 times more than what we normally see. So can we see everything in space through this? No, actually, but for the ancients this may be a big deal. Maybe it was used a lot at that time. They created inscriptions on clay tablets, some precious seals, they did all of that by hand, so this lens might have helped them do all of that. That is, to design those crafts very perfectly, to carve those carvings very perfectly, to put those seals very perfectly. This lens might have been useful for all of these. In fact, many scientists have come to believe that this is why the ancients used it. Some people say that it could have also been used as a burning tool, that is, it captures more sunlight and creates fire. And in ancient times, there were Greek and Roman ships like that. They used to burn them using such tools, and they are saying that this is also why they used it in those days. But such a big battle with such a small tool is a bit difficult, and it is not that easy to believe. At present, this crystal is in the British Museum. It is in the article. What is mentioned about it is that it is a purely decorative item. It is said that it is a piece of furniture from the past. Apart from that, there is no mention of a telescope or a magnifying glass anywhere. And it is not mentioned anywhere as a light-focusing device. But then a most interesting theory came from an Italian scientist. His name is Giovanni Pettinato. This Giovanni Pettinato told us that this lens is a part of an ancient telescope because the ancient Egyptians had a very, very huge knowledge of astronomy. For example, they show Saturn under the god and show it as a serpent ring around that god.
They show it as a big snake ring to us, and they may have represented Saturn's rings to us in that way. They might have shown us the same thing, so they had so much knowledge about space, so they definitely used telescopes. They wouldn't have had so much knowledge without using them, but some people say that in Assyrian culture, those snake symbols are very common. That's why they put that snake around the Satan god. That's it, nothing more, just a coincidence. There's nothing mysterious about it, they say. So research is still being done about this ancient lens, and some other similar lenses have been found in Egypt and Greece. So what historians believe is that the telescope was not invented until 1600 years ago, but the Pettinato theory says that ancient civilizations experimented with these optics and achieved everything they wanted and made the telescope work. They gathered all the information about space and increased their space knowledge. So this, if you look at it, it definitely looks like a telescope lens. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. So that's it, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to be notified of future uploads. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.